Well. Hello there to another Wargame Dragon Not-Yet-Dead tournament replay cast. Or analysis, or whatever you want to call it. Apparently some people don't like it when I call this casts, because I am pausing all the time, analyzing or whatnot. Whatever this is to you, this is another video of that. Anyways, as you saw in the title, this is, and as you can see, this is Milan or Greyhound versus Putin187. This is the winners finals, meaning on the winner's side, the last game before the grand finals. The winner of this match, of this best of 5, will be in the grand finals. The loser will go down to the loser's bracket and be fighting in the loser's finals, I believe. And the winner of the loser's finals will then play against the winner of this winner's final in the grand finals. I hope this wasn't too convoluted. The bracket will be in the description. Beware of spoilers, of course, because I'm not gonna cast all of the matches. So some I did cast, others I did not cast. I think that's all there is to say. In case you don't know, before the game, maps are banned, maps are picked. One deck of each player is banned. Once they won with the deck, they can't choose this deck again for the remainder of the set, etc, etc. There are some special rules, so you are basically forced to play with more than one deck. Except there's technically a very rare scenario where in the best of 5, if you draw, you can still play the deck. So if you get 5 draws in a row, which is theoretically possible, you could play the same deck 5 times, but you get the point. So that was a very important part for me for the tournament, that once you win with a deck, you can't play the deck again. So that you force people to not just have one deck that they're very good at and just steamroll over everyone. Forcing people to be adaptive, to be good with more than one deck. Anyways, Putin versus Milan, as I said. Let's just skip through the deployment. Putin is playing a Dutch-German coalition, and Milan seems to be playing a blue 4 motorized, I'd imagine. Yeah, looks like moto to me. Not gonna put the deck on screen because I'm scared that I'm just gonna forget about that again. Nuclear Winter's coming. This used to be very heavily favored for Milan's side. If you don't know, the zone used to extend just until the start of the bridge here. That's where you could put units that would give you a massive head start, and you still kind of have a head start when just driving straight into the town in Alpha. Obviously, they nerfed that. Nowadays, I personally think that Putin's side is actually better. At least I prefer it. Because pushing Alpha isn't as good anymore, and pushing Foxtrot, in my opinion, is usually not as easy as pushing India. And if it comes to a stalemate, where neither 2-pointer is pushed, Putin's side obviously has the advantage with holding Delta, which is much easier from his side. But it is a lot more balanced than it used to be. Also, these used to be 1-pointers on top of, the bigger zone, so pushing here was basically never worth it. But yeah, nowadays a much more balanced map than previously. With previously, I mean like 3 years ago. More than 3 years. I think they changed it with the map packs, when they put in new maps, etc. Alright. So let's see. Very clearly, Milan going for this Alpha push. Putin seems to be expecting that. A single recon unit, a single KCT for, I'd imagine, this town or this bush here. He does have the Tiger, which with the exception of optics will easily be able to spot in case there's a push coming here, but it is obvious that he's going for this. Starting with the KWS, I assume it is to protect the Tiger. I'm not sure if he has the F104G, the 60-point Starfighter ASF in his deck, but that's already 120, 140, 260, plus the FOB, that's 345. CV, that's 455 points on, let's say like 400 points, 300 points roughly on non-combat units that don't directly impact the battlefield. On top of the base CV, of course, whereas Milan doesn't have a FOB, does have a second CV, I'm pretty sure, Humvee CV, but like no ASF. He does, however, is have a lot more units here, so it more or less evens out. But very expensive opener from Putin on just a few units. And the KWS not gonna, like literally not gonna have a direct impact because Milan didn't even start with a single helicopter. The first helicopter is now coming out with the Japanese Huey carrying the Jumat 80GM. Tiger killing the AMX-10. Kind of crucial because, you know, medium stealth could have easily been overlooked and just driven straight into the spawn. Dealing with those NOs with Gewehrman. But I was gonna say that it would have been better if the Tiger was here, but that it might have also just been killed by the Crotals. So, yeah, as you can see, Milan arrives here first. Kind of surprised that Putin didn't start with a single wheeled infantry squad. I assumed that maybe he was just thinking, well, you know, against veteran, bunch of veteran spam, you know, he doesn't stand a chance anyway, so he might as well just keep the most cost-efficient infantry and not even bother with wheeled stuff. He now calls in 2 squads on veteran. Are those Corps Pioneers most likely? That was a Block 15 ASF and the Puff coming in after that. Puff probably for the Tiger here. Might also get a Gepard because now he is microing. If the Puff had taken a different path, he probably would have been able to kill the Gepard there. Kind of unfortunate. MXN being able to kill one of those YPs and forcing the Corps Pioneers damage to be unloaded. Leopard Vercanning coming in. Vercanning, I use it as well, but personally I'm not a huge fan of it because it has a rather low armor and not a huge amount of AP. Obviously the main attraction is the medium stealth and the optics here, but at closer range 2 AMX-10s will most likely win against the Leopard Vercannings. So at 8 armor and rather close ranges, it is relatively easy to kill. YPRs, basically slightly worse KFVs, gonna give good fire support. They come with Stormtrooper, so they do come on veteran, giving them a good accuracy boost. But most of the infantry here has been either killed or nearly killed. I think it was even a 4-stack of Grenadier and the 5-pointer got absolutely decimated by the paratroopers. 20 RVM Law 80 is just gonna melt those 5-pointers and panic the infantry if it unloaded already. Nothing going on here. Putin, his gamble worked out. On KCT, he didn't really kill anything other than the AMX-10. Milan can't really do all too much here on this side because he doesn't have a whole lot of units to push up to, so it is not worth it to gamble and try to push up with those because he doesn't have the fire support or anything to kill the KCT efficiently, so it's better for Milan to stay hidden. However, it obviously makes defending a lot easier should Putin decide to attack here. Gepard for the 45 points is kind of expensive, but I assume he just expected that maybe Putin would very early on just fly a helicopter around the flank. Anyways, back to here. Not-Ded-Yet, a 3-stack. Come with a TGB 5-pointer. Best 5-pointer in the game because it has 100 kilometers off-road speed. If you compare it to the K511, which is a stat on basically every other 5-point track, only 50 km/h off-road speed. Obviously, massive difference. And the only cost being worse autonomy, which, let's be real here, in 95% of the cases doesn't matter, which is also the reason why the Shock Recon squad of Sweden, the Fallskärmsjägare, are amazing, because they come with that exact same transport, giving especially armored and also mechanized decks the possibility to take those in a transport, and thus giving you an okay shock squad that is also fast, which is crucial for openers or flanks, etc., etc., which is very nice. One of those weird Eugen things. But as you can see, you get also Not-Ded-Yet. So for 30 points, you get a 15-man infantry squad with a basic MG, a battle rifle, which is fine, but a very good range anti-tank weapon. Very good squads, generally underused. I don't use them a lot myself, mainly because I think in Scandinavia it's hard to fit them in, and I don't play a lot of blue moto or Sweden moto. Still though, similar to Lake Aberoda, just probably better in most scenarios. Obviously you can't get them in rocket helicopters or Heinz or anything of the likes, but yeah. Should probably help quite a lot to deal with, you know, Vercanning and YPRs. At 1500 meter range, you know, this is nearly the same range as these YPRs. So if they come a bit too close, you know, 3-stack of those will easily kill them one by one. Even the Vercanning, you know, with only 8 armor against 12 AP is gonna take a good amount of damage. And 2 of those squads are panicked, however, so they're not gonna hit a whole lot. So Milan retreating them to save them. Both players getting out of CV nearly at the same time. Putin a bit earlier also does not forget to unload. KWS kills a block 15, but a block 15 also killed the KWS. Probably good trade on Greyhound's part. I think Greyhound would gain more from air superiority. However, I wouldn't be surprised if Putin has a second card of ASFs in there. Be it either the MLU, which is basically a worse block 15. Also fine, forget MRAMs. Milan probably only has 1 card. And if Putin doesn't have the MLU, he might have the OCU, the ATGM MRAM combination, multi-role, plane, whatever you want to call it. Still though, Milan still a great foothold here. Surprised he didn't really, you know, try to get rid of those, because those cost 20 years. If they try, they could potentially take a route to just, you know, if he just avoids the town, there's basically a guarantee he's gonna pick something off here. Or maybe Putin just simply wants him to keep there, so he knows, you know, as long as these are alive there, it is more or less safe for him to at least push up that far. AMX 10 not being in a very good position either, couldn't even shoot at those KCT. Luckily, for Milan, they you know, drove up way too far and basically got killed. Escort here is gonna get killed by the Kurtal, no doubt. Second missile didn't hit. Kurtal most likely lost line of sight at the last second, but still close enough for the splash damage to deal the remaining 2 damage needed. Like, the Not-Ded-Yet are gonna easily finish off those Coast Pioneers. Which is bad news for Putin, because now Milan has the town, and with that range that we're canning, could easily get killed. If they spot it. I think if they are in this building, they will probably spot that we're canning. Oh, Kurtal probably lost, yeah, it lost sight, and now as soon as the Tiger fired, it gained sight. They ran out of missiles, so the other one didn't have line of sight because of the forest or the buildings, or both. Yeah, as I said, Not-Ded-Yet did get line of sight. Only one of them was in a building to actually shoot, and they were shaken, so they didn't hit. Don't move out in the open. But there's the AMX-10. Even with just 12 AP, you saw it dealt a good amount of damage. Even firing could be the reset here. Unlucky for Putin. And if the AMX-10 can finish it off, that means that is very bad business. Chumat here got reloaded into the in-house so that Milan can more safely get it into the town. Seems to have forgotten about it, but there he is, moving it. 2 more squads, Chumat squads coming in. On the left, not really a whole lot going on. Putin only really bought CV and base defense. Canning did not get finished off. Seems like Milan kind of forget about it. Similar to Daenerys. Well, that's a different meme. CV being bought by Milan for India. Shumat's being brought up. Putin didn't really buy a whole lot of AA other than that Gepard and, well, the Tiger and the KWS he has, but there wasn't really a need to, because outside of the Puff and the Block 15, I don't think Milan bought a whole lot of planes, and, well, helicopters, he only bought the Hueys for the transport Hueys, so it wasn't really a need. And that's generally a good sign for Milan, because not rarely does Blue Moto, or Blue Mix in general, have to rely sort of, well, not rely, but their plane selection makes it usually a lot easier to gain an advantage. Most notably the Kurnas, the Thunderbolt, the Peace Pheasant, the Hornet, you know. Those are just amazing planes that usually give you quite the edge in scenarios. The fact that Milan does not have to rely on, or did not yet have to rely on those, is probably a good sign, because, no, it means he still has all those planes available. Gepard kind of... I assumed that he just accepted that it was gonna die, so he might as well use it offensively, though he could have probably just retreated it. Tiger probably just gonna probe here a bit, or maybe not, or maybe he is. Yeah, I was gonna say Milan buying a path to deal with the Tiger. No KWS now is a KWS. I'm not sure if it was still refilling or not, but Putin either forgot about it, or he should have timed it better and waited a bit with the Tiger before pushing up, so he could have the KWS up and protected it from the path. Probably a good trade for Milan, because Puff obviously doubles as a seat. and anti-helo plane, and so far he didn't really need to kill a whole lot of AAs, so trading it for a Tiger is probably perfectly fine. SRV-103C, you know, with the optics and with the other reckoning, you know, the Putin's reckoning shouldn't be a huge deal. Escort here at this range. Ooh, it's gonna be dangerous for the Cortal, but I don't think that, yeah, there's nothing to really shoot at it, and the escort dies. Those Undertaker are really, really low on HP. Reckoning again down to 1 HP. And Putin probably busy microing on this side. Peace run coming in. Hit the 103C once. Wasn't able to kill it though. 12 armor. 13 armor is just enough to survive a single peace run missile with 26 AP, assuming you're full HP. The Crotals were able to shoot it down, so that's good for Milan. Surprised to not see Putin try anything on the flanks yet, but I assume that he just never felt that he was in a position where that was worth doing. He also has not bought a lance, which I am pretty sure is in his deck. Again, that's probably just a sign that Milan is doing a good job here, keeping him under pressure, forcing him to just completely focus on where Milan is pushing, basically being reactive the whole game while Milan is doing the proactive plays, which is basically, you know, one of the best positions you can be in a wargame match, right? Because it means you dictate the pace, you dictate where something is happening, you know, you force your opponent to buy where you want him to buy, because that's where you're pushing. And you force him to micro where you're microing. And that's a surrender by Putin. Which means that should it come down to a conquest points counting, meaning that both have 2 wins and 1 draw, or both have 1 wins and 3 draws, or both have 5 draws, you know, then it comes to, then there's not gonna be a tiebreaker match. Instead, it's gonna be who had the most conquest points over the course of that best of 5. And if you surrender, your opponent basically automatically gains, or their conquest points are set to 500. Just so you know. That was the first match. Not even 20 minutes, so let's just go through the second match. I'm not a fan, simply because I like the videos to be ordered. So one video is game 1, the other one game 2, but I don't want to let you go with a 17-minute match. Video. And of course, this is a full 40-minute game. Oh, well, okay. Let's see. We have Paddy Field, we have Milan with Baltic Front, and we have Putin with USA. Probably the best, maybe the best map for USA. I think USA would probably prefer Paddy Field over Mudfight. In general, it probably prefers, at least the way Putin plays it, let me put it this way. I'd assume he probably prefers this over Mudfight. Or in general, he probably prefers open field to do, you know, Nighthawk, but most importantly A10, and, you know, if it comes down to it, longbow plays, shenanigans, whatever you want to call it. Kind of similarly to how he plays with USSR. But I think compared to USSR, where I feel like his strongest map would be Mudfight, this might be the strongest map for the US deck. I don't know why I'm pointing in my screen, you can't even see me. Mainly because this offers also a good amount of... no, let me rephrase it. It doesn't really have a whole lot of towns. You know, there's obviously the key town in Gulf, but it's just a small town, easy to get rid of. And USA isn't really the best when it comes to town fights. USA is, however, pretty good in forest fights, and the little bit of cover that most of the cover that is available are chunks of forests. Not a whole lot of little, you know, bushes here and there, but, you know, you have a little chunk here, this chunk there, this chunk here, but other than that, just open field. And this is probably... No, I'm leading a bit out of the window here, but possibly like prime US territory, you know? You know, unless of course you have oil. Haha, good joke. No, but in all seriousness, because, you know, M1 Abrams with rifleman spam, very strong in forests, you know, and the forests are not really hugely deep, you know, that it's just gonna be a slog, you know, but it's just chunks here and there, which is very good for US, and then a whole lot of open field, to do your A10, your Thunderbolt shenanigans, etc., which obviously US very strong with very strong ground support planes, except especially versus vehicles. All right, so similar opener to what Putin did against me, like 3-4 weeks ago or something, I'd imagine. 3 M1 IPs, a bunch of riflemen, nothing too out of the ordinary. Cobra for spotting and just dealing with light stuff. Dab against the KT, I'd imagine. Don't really see a whole lot of helicopters in the opener by Baltic. Never mind. Super Puma with yeah, there we have it, with air decoys, of course. What do we have here? Does Milan take one card of air decoys in its SIL? That's interesting. Personally, I wouldn't, because 0 armor, 5 HP, or even an autocannon burst would basically panic your infantry and destroy it, panic your infantry and leave it back damaged. I personally prefer them at least in a KT, but I would still, the air decoys already cost 35 points, so you might as well spend the 5 extra points to get them into an XA that has at least good off-road speed as well, which is actually even more important than the armor and the HP. Mod. This is a weird opener, okay? Basically no infantry for Milan on this side. In general, he doesn't have any proper infantry. He has what I presume are air decoys. He has spikes and an infantry CV, and that is literally all his infantry. I mean, he obviously knows what he's playing against. He's playing against rifleman spam and M1 IPs. So I assume that, maybe he's just thinking, well, his infantry is gonna get demolished anyways, but with mortar play and something like Panzerjäger and your own M1 Wilks behind, I'd say that you are very good, or you have a very good deck for contesting this kind of infantry play. M1 IPs don't have autoloaders, M1 Wilks do have autoloaders. So I'm not sure if I would have opened like that. And also no infantry whatsoever for here, but I assume that he basically knows that Putin is not gonna push there, so it's not really a huge deal. Deb is gonna intercept the KT. Oh, okay. That's not gonna work though. Okay, he spotted the Cobra, so that's why he boarded. He wanted to basically just get the air decoys and the KR and the spikes in here. Not really to hold it, but mainly to just be annoying and cost Putin a lot of points and time and micro, etc., etc. Why this proper push is going somewhere down here, which I don't really understand what his plan probably is. But he spotted the Cobra with his KT, so he knows that if he just drives up there, the Cobra is just gonna demolish him. Alright. Light Rifleman 90s. Massively underrated unit, by the way. Even the base ones for 10 points are very good, even though people are like, trash unit. No, they're not trash. US infantry is not trash. US is not trash. But anyways, BMP1 KTs, again, for 5 points more, you could have gotten a Panzerjäger squad in an XA185 KT, and yes, if you're at or somewhat near max range, you are gonna survive a shot by the M1 IP, and you are gonna survive a shot by the rifleman, but you have no infantry whatsoever, and you are not wheeled. And I don't understand. And yes, he does have air decoys in it still, which again, I'm not a fan of. M1 mod, I think getting several M2 Wilks would have been better, because they probably do the same thing against M1 IPs at some point anyways, and a mod is just a big red kill me with a plane type of unit. 2 M1 Wilks, probably in general, either M1 Wilk or M2 Wilk spam or a mix of it is probably the best you can do against this type of US. I mean, he doesn't even have a mortar, so I don't know. And the M113 is just gonna use up all the ammo against of the spikes, but yeah, not really a whole lot happening. I still don't understand what Greyhound's idea here was. Still, like, he can't even push up properly with the Wilk because he doesn't have any infantry support. Now he's finally buying the Yakari. For some reason he... Was it accidentally or not that he unloaded it? No, it was not an accident that he loaded the spikes back in there. Okay, interesting. Alright, let's just speed this up a bit until something's happening. What just fired there for a second? I'm confused. Whatever. Not really a whole lot of stuff happening. Okay, you loaded them back into the town, but... Okay. There's a Thunderbolt. There's a Patriot to protect the Thunderbolt against ASFs. Unless he has the F-18 or the Polish MiG-29, Finnish Baltic ASS aren't really the best against the Thunderbolt. The main advantage, of course, you know, since most of the time you will be seeing the Finnish MiG-29. Finnish MiG-29, as you probably know, only has 2 5HE missiles, which against basically against 98% of the planes is perfectly fine, you know? You get it on a lead, you get 2 missiles out and immediately evac, and this is the plane we're talking about. However, against Thunderbolt and SE-25T with 2 armor, not necessarily the best. Also, the Yakari just pushing up without... What are you doing, Milan? Not the best, because 2 armor means 60% damage reduction, meaning that, you know, if you hit with both missiles against 2 armor, you're gonna deal 4 damage. Not a whole lot. Of course, you could always, you know, be lucky and get a side shot in, but that's actually harder, easier said than done. So even if you get 2 of those and both of them hit, most of the time you're not gonna deal more than 8 damage unless you get a crit, and that means that you have to hit all 4 times and get a crit. Of course, you could potentially get a side shot, but trust me, that's against Putin. It's not gonna happen a whole lot. Okay, hang on. No, this is going down here. The second Thunderbolt coming in. I would have... Okay. I was gonna say he should circle this one for a second until this one is out of missiles, because otherwise you might have both of them shooting at the same target and wasting a lot of missiles. However, while this is also happening, Milan's doing a push here and getting some nice shots on these M1IPs, killing one, getting down to half HP. However, Milan lost his M2 Wilk, which is very unfortunate. So for now, he effectively traded an M2 Wilk for an M1IP, which is not a good trade. Also, no smoke cover for the mod, not a huge issue since there's no scouts, so he can safely just reverse. Also, the Thunderbolt being slow means that if it's relatively far away, you usually have enough time to reverse, assuming you're in such a force. Reversing a bit too far, back out in the open, so if Putin had a scout here, he could spot that. M1 Wilks were not in smoke, so that's just bad micro. That was, by the way, not a side shot, as you just saw. That dealt 3 damage. MiG-29, I believe it hit once, but obviously not enough to kill the Thunderbolt. Spikes got side on one of the M1IPs and killed it. I think it was a side shot even. So hang on. Very good for Milan. Okay, for a second I thought the M1IP was looking into that direction. F-15A Eagle. Even more protection against his Thunderbolt, of course. If it's the same deck he played against me, then he also has the F-15C Eagle. So it's pretty clear that the most important part, or the 2 most important parts of this deck is, by the way, got killed by the OSA AKM, which is... And probably with the help of these air decoys, or potentially, I'm not sure, I didn't fully pay attention. Oh, with these air decoys, I don't know. Obviously, it's very clear that the 2 biggest points of Putin's US deck is M1 spam plus Rifleman spam, as well as Thunderbolt plays. As you can add 2 damage. Yeah, that's the Thunderbolt. And certain decks are not particularly good at dealing with Thunderbolts, mainly Commonwealth, and Eurocore is so-and-so. KWS is pretty good because it has 3 Fire and Forget missiles while being on Veteran, so it has good damage output. The AA itself is not great outside of Spags. Well, Spags in general are okay at dealing with 2 armor, assuming they get in range. Crotalland and Roland 3 have 6 HE, which is okay. But most of the time, Red 4 decks, as well as, let's say, US, are pretty good because, especially the OSAs, they have 7 HE, which is pretty good, dealing 2.8 damage if they hit 2 armor. So, you know, that's pretty nice. out of all the red 4 decks, I'd say that Baltic might be, well, the way you play Baltic might often be the worst out of the red 4 decks, because the MiG-29, unless you specifically build it around for killing A10s and A25Ts, your Finnish MiG-29 just isn't that great for once. It's probably the only scenario where the Finnish MiG-29 is one of the worst, not worst, but worse ASFs compared to like other meta ASFs. But of course you could put in like the Never, for example. You could replace it with the F-18 or put the F-18 in there as well, or replace it with the Polish MiG-29, which has 6 HE long-range missiles as well as featuring a couple of short-range missiles. There are obviously options. It's just that most of the time you see them finish MiG-29, which in this one scenario, or these two scenarios against the 25T and the A10, just isn't that great for once. But it is, again, unless you're building a deck specifically around killing those planes or dealing with those planes, that is really not a point of replacing your MiG-29. Back to the game though, where not really a whole lot is happening. It's relatively rare to see put so much effort into this side of the map. Like usually it revolves around like these bushes. The town is usually just a gateway of either getting into this bush or holding this bush, but both players really investing a whole lot here. You don't see that a lot. But obviously, if you hold this, Milan holding this means he doesn't have to worry about it, and Putin holding this means he would have a much easier time defending this from a push down this road. So it's not like it's not crucial. It's just that, like I said, you don't see people putting a whole lot of effort in it. MiG-29 hit twice. MiG-21 bis. Was it a Cobra it killed? Yeah, it was a Rican Cobra. Did anticipate the seat plane. Was it a pivots? Must have been pivots. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was on a move. I didn't quite pay attention, but usually you want your cheap radar A that is supposed to tank seed missiles in front of your expensive radar A. But maybe it was just called in like 1 minute ago and just still on the move on the destination. Paladin. One of probably the worst 10-second aim time artillery. Nighthawk finishing off the mod, by the way. I think it was on 6 HP if I wasn't wrong. Because it tanked one of the Thunderbolt missiles. Nighthawk on elite basically hits 98% of the time or something with the laser guided bombs on vehicles. Deals, I think it deals like 8 or 9 damage. So if it's on 6 or 7 damage, it's obviously gonna kill it. Nonetheless, all the M1 IPs are dead. Yakari should win against Razzmann if they stop moving. But with the Panzer Yakari, everything will be fine. Still a good foothold here for Milan. He should probably... I know he does have spikes there. And 2 T-55s. One of them being spotted by those ranges, which Milan doesn't seem to notice. But even then, the T-55 is going to win against an M1. However, there's the Thunderbolt on the way. MiG-29 once again. Going for the F-15A. Good choice, because if you were to go for the Thunderbolt, you most likely would have just been killed by the F-15A. But now you kill the F-15A and basically killed some of the protection of the Thunderbolt. 3 Chinooks with the Rangers. You might have seen it in the... if it is in the videos against Putin. I said it that I personally would never use them over Blackhawks, but the reason he does it is just... Sorry, I got a building. Because they have 10 HP. So they're literally just there to tank AA missiles. Either, so his Thunderbolt can move up, or his Longbow can do shit. Or, in this scenario, which I presume is just simply to tank those Iglas, which need 3 shots to kill Chinooks. And basically also just telling Putin, hey, there's no AA, you can move Thunderbolt, A10, fuck, that's the same fucking unit. Longbow, Nighthawk, Cobra in there, to deal with shit. Patriot being repositioned over this area. SC-7BM still using the plane. I don't understand. Such a bad plane. T-55 getting stunned here. There's a Sea Eagle on elite. Still scared by the MiG-29, not surprisingly, but still kind of funny. And of course, I mean, if the Chinooks, if they can aim their minigun, which takes ages, you know, it is gonna do a okay amount of damage. MiG-21 Bliss, Hilo Hunter, basically like a Lazur, just... I'm not sure if it's worse or better. I'd have to look. I think you get only 2 on Elite, however. Oh, that's a bad timing for it. Nah, it's not. Never mind. I assume that Milan spotted it or realized that he spotted it once it was turning back here, so he obviously couldn't turn fast enough. And the Sea Eagle is gonna finish off the MiG. Or not. Okay, that was kind of lucky. It does have 30% ECM though, so not the unlikeliest thing to happen. No smoke here, so I assume the Wilk is gonna die. It is Raven. Got the Osa here. Biggest thing about Raven, in case you don't know, is the fact it's not even the fact that it has 60% ECM. It's obviously great too, but the biggest thing about it is that it has good stealth. Every other seed plane has medium stealth or no stealth, but this has good stealth, making it even harder to spot. So that is why the Raven can catch you off guard so easily and so often. Seer being bought. Probably quite a niche, what's it called? Knee-jerk reaction? Is that a term? Anyways, basically maybe like a kind of a panic buy, I guess. It's a fucking 65-point tank and you bought a super heavy killer to kill that. Kind of overkill, especially since you have spikes and you have a T-55 there. I'm pretty sure that Greyhound regretted buying it as soon as he bought it. He was like, oh, I don't even need it, if I had to guess. But, well, he has it now, and he's stuck with it. I'm pretty sure that both of the Thunderbolts are still alive. The Nighthawk is still alive. I think the only planes that Greyhound killed so far, Eagle getting out with no damage whatsoever. The only planes he killed so far, I believe, is one of the F-15As, if I'm not wrong. Seed plane got killed. Slowly but surely, Putin is just wearing Milan out. However, Milan is taking +1, and it's only 15 minutes left, so... Now, if Putin doesn't really pay attention to this, and the battle will just continue going over on this side... One of the A-10s got killed. Very nice. If the battle just keeps going on over this side, you know, and Milan can keep Putin occupied here, you know, even if Milan's gonna lose all his planes and all his other units, you know, he might just win by conquest points and or time, you know. Got one hit on the Raven, got it killed. Wait, what? I think the other guys must have critted it. It was on 5 HP and it doesn't have an Osa. Or maybe no, this Osa didn't fire. Weird. So Erikois must have critted it, or 2 of those must have hit. I didn't really see that. By the way, this one is called Häkkinen. In case you don't know, Mika Häkkinen, Finnish F1 World Champion, I believe twice for McLaren in 98 and 99, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. Command I want Abrams for this just to stop the bleed. Milan is still gonna be ahead like 70 points, which isn't a whole lot of points. With a +1, you get that easily in like 5 minutes. Only 30 minutes left though, and Putin will. Oh, he also has a CV for golf here. Okay, so Milan will either just have to kill it, which he did with the F-15C, but I mean the CV, of course, or put his own CV in there relatively soon. Mod being mod. Kind of unfortunate. I think he probably just bought it just before Putin put in the TACOM, because now he maybe would have preferred buying a CV of his own or something to kill the CV here. Because now obviously Putin is sticking and buying a longbow. Longbow kind of dangerous against Baltic with the Erikois, but most of these Erikois don't have a lot of Iglas left. He has 2 fully equipped Erikois, you know, with 8 Iglas in total. But they don't have a whole lot of range, so, you know, they're not gonna do much against the longbow on this side. Still oh, there's also an IS-90. Oh, the IS-90 might have killed the Raven. Oh, Razzmann, once again, blind. I'm not sure if he just spotted it. I think he just spotted it with the Rangers, which is why he pulled back. Milan has to be careful though that it doesn't get spotted and killed by the A10. That's one of the oldest tricks in the book. You know, you kill the AA with what your AA is supposed to kill, with planes, and then roll over, you know, with the other thing that your AA is supposed to kill, which is helicopters. Still no CV being bought by Milan to stop the bleed, so I assume he wants to stop the bleed by killing this CV up here. Not too unlikely. Not a whole lot of units for Putin here, and not a whole lot of fire support either. Milan doesn't have a tank though, so the M1 Abrams could do a lot of damage. You know, it all depends on how he can preserve those Panzer Yakari. They're gonna be best chance of killing the CV. It might also still be the Nighthawk. I'm not sure. But there is the MiG-29 circling. Don't forget though, the Nighthawk has exceptional stealth, and the MiG-29 got hit by the Patriot, forcing into evac. And yeah, there's the M1 Abrams, you know, with the rifleman spam, dealing with those Panzeries, so not best attack. There's the Nighthawk, getting killed though. Nighthawk dealing a good amount of damage to the mod and killing a bunch of infantry and forcing this one to unload damage. I wouldn't say it was worth it, but on the other hand, delayed at the very least Milan's attack, which in a way also delays the CV being killed. I'm not sure why it's being pulled back. Alright, probably just into this town. Okay, makes sense. The CV still not at Syria coming in now, but and getting one shot by the Patriot. Well, it is on elite, so it's not the unlikeliest thing to happen. Putin still with a +1. This could still go either way, really. I think it all comes down to this. Is Putin gonna kill the gas first, or is Milan gonna kill the Abrams first? Now I would bet on Putin. And that's a typical Milan, or not typical Milan, but typical one player overextending with the attack, or overestimating their own forces, underestimating the opponent's forces, whatever you want to call it, and losing the engagement, losing more points than they kill, and then the opponent just half a minute later starting the counter attack and overwhelming the opponent. You know, it's, you know, textbook example. I guess overextending, it wasn't really overextending in this case, just straight up. I guess you could also just call it a desperation attack, but yeah. Not looking good for Milan. Still trying to get into the town. The CS doing amazing fire support with the 1500 meter range and infinite magazine. You know, they literally fire until they're out of rounds. You know, they never have to reload, in case you don't know. Second Paladin being bought. Milan's still barely holding on to this, but that's the problem with cheap CVs. Eventually, Putin is probably just gonna get it with the Paladin, if nothing else, or the longbow, or the Abrams, and that's a surrender. So, pretty close game, you know. Went to the last few minutes, but eventually Putin just, you know, wore Milan out. Although Milan did, you know, in the late game, not the end, but you know, just before the end in the late game, did some very good trades, killed a bunch of planes, and you know, the whole time forced Putin to engage on the bottom of the map where no zone was, and ticking for a good while. However, I think probably, you know, obviously hindsight is 2020. Obviously, as someone watching the replay, it's obviously always easy to say, you know. I'm not saying Milan is an idiot for not doing this, because I didn't see what he saw, so I might have reacted as well, just like him, you know. But obviously, in hindsight, it probably would have been better if instead of pushing up there into the command Abrams, get that second CV or that CV to stop the bleed, and then either try to go for the town from that point. You know, while you hang on, let me just open the replay or open the map just so I can illustrate this better. Paddy Field. So what I mean is that while we're both engaging in this area, attack this golf town from this angle here. Because a lot of forces are here. The longbow might still be there, I don't know. Patriot might have still been there. And while he kind of lost this, Putin didn't really have anything other than infantry himself there, right? Because he only pushed him back with his A10, with his Nighthawk, you get the point. So once he stopped the bleed, and wants to tick again, or if he wants to stop the bleed directly that way, push down from this, because you still have this, and there's no threat from this position here, so you're safe from there. You don't have to worry getting side shot, and there's not a whole lot of cover for Putin to work with. So the only way to obviously deal with your stuff would be then to the little things he asked here, being like Razzmann and the CS or something, or his planes. You already killed a couple of his planes, so this possibly, would have been the safer bet to do. But again, I'm not, whenever I'm saying should have done this, probably should have done that, maybe this would have been a better idea, etc. I know very well that from their perspective, if I was looking through their eyes, I might have done the same thing as them. I'm not saying these guys are idiots. Why didn't they do that? It's just with the all-knowing eye, that's what would have been, a better idea, in my opinion. In any case, that was game 2. More games to come. Well, game 1 and game 2. More games to come. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the casts, and I will hopefully see you next time.